just couldn't believe it. You know, we've been married 15 years. Happily, I thought. And out of the blue, it was over. Ended. All she did was, she called me. She didn't have the bravery or the heart to tell me face to face and said she'd met another man. Chinese guy. Don't know where she met him. I thought we had a good relationship, you know. Every Saturday, go to the club, meet Jean and Tom. We had a good life. 2 bands. Didn't hear from her. 2 days, didn't hear from her. Then she sends a text message. Didn't make any sense at all. I'll find it. I can find it somewhere. I've still got it. It's the only one I've kept from her. All the rest was just abuse. This is the message. I can find it. There. How do you expect me to love a man who doesn't love himself? Some friends suggested, why don't you go on the internet? Find a woman on the internet. Everybody's doing it. You know, you don't have to be ashamed. So I gave it a go. So I'm not great with computers. So a lad from work came along. So I had one night in, and he tapped in me details. Oh, you know, how do you explain who you are? You know, what you've got to offer. I can honestly say I didn't think I had anything to offer. So I made a few small lies up just to get through the audition or whatever you call it. Anyway, I got a reply. I've got to admit, I was excited, you know. She was from Doncaster, and she was 39, and she looked pretty enough in her picture. A little plumper than I'd like, but, you know, who was I to make any great claims? She seemed interesting. She had a band, but the band was about 18 or 19, growing up, was away. And she'd been on, what's the show called again? Deal or No Deal. Noel Edmonds. And she wrote a funny little piece about with Noel backstage, and had a giggle, and she'd said something about his belt being a bit tight, and he'd said something a little naughty about her bosoms and things, and she seemed to have a good sense of humour, so she'd only won £750 though, so she was a bit disappointed about that. I think she was offered, in the scheme of things in the show, you get offered various amounts. I think she'd been offered up to 16,000, but she went on, and in her box it was only 750. So I think she'd been hoping for a nice holiday, but she just paid off a couple of credit bills, I think, credit card bills. Anyway, so we did meet, and she was nothing like she was. She said, and she was nothing like she was in the photograph. I mean, she was a disappointment. And she came. We met in a Greg's Cafe in Newcastle, which wasn't the most romantic of settings. And she came in, and I knew immediately that there was not going to be no big romance. But she'd arranged to get the train later in the day. And I found myself wanting time to move faster and faster so that she would leave. And I was sweating. But she was obviously and somehow interested. And she said, "Do you live local? Do you want to come back to mine? Can I come back to yours?" I couldn't take it. I just knew I couldn't think about anybody but the wife. I know she'd found someone else. But I couldn't go take her back and do what they like these kids now, they do the dry humping. I wasn't going to do the dry humping with her. No way. And it was then, at that moment, when I thought about that, I thought, you know what? I still love my wife. I'm going to get her back. I don't want to spend the rest of my life with a lass from Doncaster who's been on Deal or No Deal. That's not the future.